Hello friends, a very warm welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about a company called Moschip Technologies. As you know, the semiconductor sector is in the limelight. The government is pushing hard to grow this sector in India. The government is incentivizing companies to set up their own manufacturing units for semiconductors in India. And Indian companies are taking the initiative with partnerships with foreign companies to set up semiconductor manufacturing units in India. So Moschip is a company working in this space, which makes it really interesting during these times. Here is a disclaimer as per SEBI regulations. You can pause the video and read it. This will be the flow of our discussion. We'll understand the business model of Moschip Technologies in the beginning. Then we'll look at the stock performance in the last 5-7 years, the financial performance of the last 5 years, the reasons why the company has performed so well in the last 5 years, the outlook of the management going forward, the risks, the valuations, and then form an overall view. So before we directly jump into Moschip Technologies, I would like to explain the semiconductor value chain. So the most critical part in the semiconductor value chain is the design part, which is the first step. So companies like NVIDIA, AMD, Intel do the design of the semiconductors in US. Post this design, companies in Taiwan or Korea do the fabrication part. But the fabrication itself is not very easy, as it is very intricate to do the fabrication of semiconductors. On top of it, this requires huge investments, and it is said that one fabrication unit involves an investment of more than $10 billion, which is close to more than 75,000 crores. So as the investment involved is very high, the capacities in the world are limited and there are very limited players doing the fabrication. So the design is centered around the US, fabrication is centered mostly around Taiwan and Korea. Then the third comes the assembly and the testing of the semiconductor chips. And the last is the distribution and use by the end users. So this is the broad semiconductor value chain. Now where does Moschip fit inside this value chain is? Obviously they don't have a fabrication unit as it requires huge investment. They are into semiconductor design but not into the advanced designs which the NVIDIAs or the Intels of the world do. They are into very simple designs for specific uses, and they also help the major semiconductor design companies of the world. Moschip assists them in their design. So it is mostly getting fitted in the first part of the value chain, but not for the actual complex semiconductor design, but for a comparatively easier chips which they make for specific uses. We'll talk about more in the coming slides. So Moschip is India's first publicly listed fabless semiconductor company. Now we have used the word fabless here because they don't have a fabrication unit. It is headquartered in Hyderabad and it has broadly two business segments. The first one is the silicon engineering, which involves the semiconductor design part. The second one is the product engineering, because for functioning of any electronic device, other than the semiconductor, there are a lot of other things involved, the other hardware, software. So development and connectivity of all these systems come into the product engineering part. There are 1500 people working for this company and they have more than 100 clients across the globe. Now let us talk about the first business segment, which is the main one, which is silicon engineering. Here we will be using the term ASIC, which stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit. To tell you in simple words, this company develops circuits, designs and develops circuits for a specific use. Let's say somebody wants to develop a circuit which helps an EV function. That means for functioning of an electric vehicle. So that is a specific use. Let's say somebody wants to develop an integrated circuit which helps a Bluetooth speaker function. So that is another specific use. So this company takes up projects and develops circuits for specific requirements of their customers. So that comes under their turnkey ASIC solutions, which is a project-based revenue. And the company has a very good pipeline of these projects. They have also done good work in the last 5 years. That is one of the reasons why this company has shown good growth in the past. The second is the design services. So in design services, they do not make the complete complex semiconductor design like an NVIDIA, but they help companies like NVIDIA. I'm not sure whether NVIDIA specifically is their client or not, but they help top few semiconductor companies do their work. So the engineers of Moschip work for their clients, which in turn develop and work on complex semiconductor projects. Within the semiconductor design, Moschip sometimes also develops particular IP solutions, and these IT solutions or blocks are licensed to their customers. They have partnerships with certain global organizations like TSMC Design Center Alliance, and they work with their collaboration. Now, to give you an example, let's say a customer or a client comes to Moschip and tells them he wants to develop a particular chip, that is application specific integrated circuit, for an electric two-wheeler, and it should be small, powerful, budget friendly, and as per the customer requirements. So Moschip does the design and gives it to another fabrication company which does the fabrication of the semiconductor chip. So this kind of a specific task Moschip can do for their customers. Now coming to the second business segment, which is product engineering. In this, they work on the hardware part and the PCB engineering part. And other than the semiconductor chip, a particular electronic device may need software engineering. So they do the software part also. The device may need AI ML or AI features, or may need a cloud infrastructure service. So all these are also provided by Moschip. They also have their own platforms like accelerator suites, and they also have vertical wise specific solutions for different industries. Let's say we talk about electric vehicles, or we talk specifically about different industries like healthcare. So all these, other than the chip design part, come under the product engineering segment. Let's say a customer comes to Moschip and says they want them to develop the complete functionality of a Bluetooth speaker. So Moschip, other than the chip design, also has to see whether the microphone in the speaker, the software in the speaker, and every other component works in synchronization. So this entire design and support is done by Moschip. This is an example of the second business segment that we spoke about. The third segment is of training and developing a semiconductor ecosystem. So this does not contribute majorly to their revenue. Say they operate an academy called the Moschip Academy of Silicon Systems and Technologies. This is for training people under this semiconductor design. So this helps them develop a pipeline of talent for themselves as well as for outsiders. Now, since Moschip is also into a semiconductor design, what is the difference between a company like NVIDIA or AMD and Moschip? There is absolutely no comparison at all. I'll explain you the major differences so that you get clarity. So the companies like NVIDIA, AMD or Qualcomm, they have their own products and own IPs. So they develop their own products, sell their own GPUs or chips under their own brand name. Whereas Moschip doesn't do that. They sell millions of chips worldwide and they get huge amount of revenue and margins from that. Moschip doesn't do that. As they sell their own IPs and chips, they have very high margins. But if you see the margins of the business like Moschip, it is just about 12-13% EBITDA. Companies like NVIDIA, etc., work on latest technologies, develop new technologies, and set the technology trend. Moschip is only a follower of them. There is no comparison in terms of scales of both these companies. So this shows you that there is a clear distinction between Moschip and the league of these companies. So this is a clear explanation of the business model of Moschip. I've tried to simplify to the best way I can. Now, if you look at the stock performance, pre-COVID, the stock was in a long consolidation phase because the performance was also not up to the mark. But post-COVID, it gave a massive rally and made a high of around 325 rupees. From there, it cooled off to around 125, which was a very steep correction. And now it trades around 250 rupees and gave a good jump in the last 1 week or so. The last funding round of this company was at 65 rupees in 2023, which was a pref round. So for those preferential investors also, the stock has generated massive returns. In the last 5 years, the revenue of the company has shown a very good steady increase. It has grown from about 100 crores to almost 5 times, which is 467 crores. And it has grown at a CAGR of around 36%, which is very impressive. EBITDA has also shown good growth. It has reached 56 crores in FY25 compared to just 7 crores in FY21. Margins went up to almost 15% in FY22, but there onwards they got stabilized at around 12-13% range. So although this company is working in the semiconductor space, the margins are not that impressive. The company has done some recent capex which keeps the return ratios low. ROCE is just 12%. The promoter holding is just 44%. So if they have to do further fundraising, the promoter holding will come under further pressure. The cash flow conversion is good. The EBITDA gets nearly 100% converted into operating cash flows. But one thing you should notice on the balance sheet are the intangible assets. As on 31st March 2025, the intangible assets are 227 crores, which is a big number for this kind of a balance sheet. And generally, intangible assets are gray area. These are generated when some company develops their own IP software or they acquire another company and the intangible assets come into the balance sheet post that acquisition. Now, why am I calling intangible assets as a gray area? Is because if somebody wants to do some adjustment in the financials, we are not talking specifically about Moschip here, but just to give you an context, if somebody wants to defer their expenditure from revenue to capital expenditure, this could be one area where they can do it. An interesting thing to note in their shareholding pattern is that the number of retail shareholders have grown massively in the last 5 years. In 2020, there were around 18,000 shareholders in the retail category, and now they are more than 250,000. And we have also noticed some insider selling recently in 2025 September, June 2025, and Feb 2025. Some insiders of the company have sold their stake in the open market. In the past, we have also seen SEBI penalize the directors of this company for their non-compliance of SEBI provisions. Now, what led to the major rise in the revenue of the company in the last 5 years, which in turn translated into the stock price movement? The company claims that they work with 10 out of the 20 global top semiconductor companies. So this is a big achievement in the recent years which the company has done. The ASIC work, which is specifically done for any particular device, they have taken up more projects in the recent past, and there is a good pipeline in the future. They have won and executed a project under the Smart Meters project. They've acquired a company called Softnautics in 2023, and the industry also was in tailwinds, which got the stock to get re-rated in the recent times. Before we move forward, if you have not joined a Telegram channel yet, do join today by clicking the link in the description so that you join the correct Telegram channel. More than 8,000 people are daily in touch with me through our free Telegram channel. Now, what are the growth prospects of the company going forward? The sector has tailwinds, so the management is confident that they will have decent growth going forward also. Design is their core work, so they will keep scaling the design of the semiconductors, what they do going forward. They will take up more ASIC projects. They already see a good pipeline of that. They will try to develop their own IPs the way they have done in the smart meter space. They will expand their global business, and they will also be open for inorganic acquisitions. The management has not given any specific guidance for FY26 or 27. Now let's talk about the valuations, which is the most critical part. The stock trades at 123 times the earnings, 15 times the book, 73 times the EV EBITDA, and nearly 10 times the sales. So clearly, valuation wise, the stock is very expensive. And if you are a value investor, this doesn't fall into the framework of value investing. I understand that they are working in a sunrise sector. I understand that the sector has tailwinds. But with the growth the company has shown in the last 5 years, and with no specific guidance which the management is giving going forward, even if the company continues to grow at, let's say, 30%, which they have done in the last few years, the valuations are on the higher side. What are the risks of investing in this company? Because it is not just important to talk the positives about the company. Semiconductor is a cyclical sector. This may be surprising to hear, but semiconductor sector also has cycles. Whenever there is a high need of semiconductors, the companies globally expand the manufacturing facilities, and later if the demand of electronics falls, there is excess supply and a down cycle. There could be competition in this space from much bigger players existing or emerging in India. The promoter holding is slightly on the lower side. There are insiders who are selling stock in the open market. There are intangible assets on the balance sheet, which we discussed. Prior to COVID, the track record of performance of the company, if you see, it has not been very impressive. In fact, the company was reporting losses every year. So that always creates a doubt in our mind for the future of the company as well. Governance wise, there has been some instances in the past where the promoters were penalized and the valuations are on the higher side. So now that you've understood the business model of the company, the growth prospects, the valuations, the risk, the financial performance, what is our overall view on the stock? If you're a value investor, you're holding this company for a very long time, you've made good money, and always keep a trailing stop loss to protect your profits. And if the performance of the company continues in the future, they keep delivering good results, then you can continue to hold. Otherwise, you should not take the risk of giving back all the returns that you have earned in the past from the stock. If you're a new investor and a value conscious investor, the valuations of the company are definitely not cheap at the present levels. And you've also seen the difference in the business model of this company with the Nvidias of the world. So there is a drastic difference. So you cannot just give this kind of a multiple for a company like Moschip. But still, if you feel like due to limited options in the market, you want to be in this sector, you want to be specifically in this stock, you should definitely keep a stop loss when you are investing in such companies at such high valuations. So that's about Moschip Technologies. I hope you like the crisp analysis. I've tried to bring out all the important points in this crisp video. If you like it, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want me to make videos on your favorite stocks, do mention the names in the comment section. Do join our Telegram channel by clicking the link in the description. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.